Just a little breakdown. Death Star, right? Because the Death Star is actually have a meaning to it. Thing about English words, when you break them down in syllables, you can tell the meaning of what the word really means. Because in school they taught us if you didn't have a dictionary or definition book, then you put words you break the words down to figure out what it means. Because that's how they use English to even make words. So the word we're trying to figure out to see what the Death Star is dealing with the moon. Why is it dealing with the moon? And why does it look like the Death Star? And why do they call it the Death Star? Even though they made a movie out it to symbolize war, right? And the chi and like the force in you, the chi in you, the energy, the frequency in you, right? Light side, dark side, the balance, feel me? Mastering of self during this time, right? So my theory was the moon is a reflection of the sun being manipulated by two energies, mu and nu, um, which brings in another energy that it needs, which is Ant Aries and Iota 9. I mean, Iota Draconis, um, that manipulate the energy from the backside of the sun. Um, so it's really showing reflection in there, not really Saturn. The thing that it ties back to Saturn is the moon is manipulating the sun, but Saturn goes to alignment. So when the alignment goes through the sun, it manipulates that energy from it, right? Because that energy is supposed to hit the planet and the people. So to manipulate you, they have to manipulate it, right? So it's like putting a couple of more mirrors in the area, which is manipulating the cycle, right? Manipulating the reflections, right? So Death Star, right? The meaning, right? First meaning I got is DEA. DEA stands for Double Electrode Applicator, showing only in science and medicine. Science and medicine, right? Because the hospital doesn't have doctors creating medicine like back in the day. Like the healers, those were the real doctors. They made medicine, right? Or the scientists, I guess, made medicine too. But the thing is, the hospital get it from the scientists, not the doctors. That's what I'm trying to say. The doctors is there to explain and to operate, right? To operate the procedure, right? So this that DEA stands for double electrode applicator, showing only in science and medicine. Definitions are all nine definitions. 69 of them? I didn't know that. The social electronic touchpoint. So this is all the little interferences. The Division of Environmental Affairs, dog, antigen, distributed evolutionary algorithm. which deals with the angstrom of the electrons and the protons that's floating around. Manipulation of the air, which is a manipulation of your blood. They can manipulate your blood by manipulating the air, and they can manipulate your body by manipulating the ground. Do you get me? This is why through your affidavit, Mike can get them to stop peacefully. But if not, they already know once this hurts hit, people are gonna freak the fuck out. It's gonna be war. Feel me? I'm not really pushing that. I'm just using common sense. It's cause and effect, you feel me? Aerospace, so it's good to be stocked up on your shit so you stay out the way. Cause who wants to be caught up in all of that? Yeah, you can sit up there all day like, yeah, I'll hold it down when it comes down to it. That's good, but like, do you know what that comes with? I mean, that's cool. I mean, you wanna have to be okay with that, but it's not gonna feel okay. It never does. So DEA is double electro applicator showing only in science and medicine definitions. Okay, so data development analysis, DEA is a linear programming methodology that empirically let me just read it from the phone. Quantifies the relative efficiency of multiple similar entities or DMUs. The DMU is the homogeneous entity responsible for the conversion of inputs into outputs. So that's dealing with the frequency coming from the sun and stars and dealing with yours too, right? Because it's a data envelopment analysis, analyzing you, analyzing. When you see lysis, that deals with red blood cells dying. That deals with pathology too. Because even though it's in technology, to make technology, the AI has to replicate the person, the cell, the cycle. Because that's the only way that technology generates electricity to flow. It has to replicate some part of you. So, what is DEA in the lab? Provide scientific support to special agents and other law enforcement personnel. So this also ties to the drug enforcement, because when it's drugs deal with pathology, biology, and chemistry, that also deals with metaphysics. So when they have a metaphysical interruptions, this double applicator could do so. I wish I could press pause, but someone told me something different to look up. DEA. DEA meaning DEA satellite. How does that pop up? Okay, boom. Digital Earth Australia DEA is a platform uses spatial data and images recorded by satellites orbiting our planet to detect physical changes across, etc. Moon. Okay. Digital Earth Australia water observations uses the algorithm to classify each pixel from the Landsat. That deals with the angstrom, which deals with the protons and electrons and the way it's coming. Boom. Debunking the conspiracy. They doing the same shit. Elon announces Starlink will provide dead zone coverage for T-Mobile. I knew they were coming for T-Mobile, bro. Because there's no way Verizon has the best service. T-Mobile does. Then they got the LTE working with Metro PCS, which is pretty much 5G. They've been fighting to see who can take over for that satellite, but that person who takes over is gonna fold. Stupid investment, cause all this shit gonna fall. You know what connection is gonna make long? Universe connection. Y'all use universe connection and then name it shit, but none of them names is rocking no more. And I'll put that in my name, nigga. On your hood. Like zombie satellites. It was decommissioned and placed in a graveyard orbit in 1972. I was considered dead. That it was until 2020. Let's read about this story real quick. There's a lot of stuff orbiting around the Earth. The vast majority is junk still orbiting the Earth. Vanguard I launched in 1958 has been there slinging around the Earth now for 6 decades. 60 years. Long since dead, other satellites sometimes reach the ends of their lives due to various reasons. It ties to the 60 years because it ties to the time they started all this experimentation. Again, right? Due to the energies, right? Really, this shit happens every 10 years. It's just, it was breaking down through this 120 because it took 10 cycles of that 12. Really, that 9, but the rebirth was the 12. So if it was 1,000 years, or 100, or 120,000, or 120 million, it's just tying back to 10 years in a timeline. Because really, the loops work in timelines and uh, together when everything's a normal. So you're just linked in, period. You don't need a neural link for a natural link, right? So that's why they're trying to make the neural link because they need bodies for this AI. Maybe all won't make it, but some will, right? Most of us already have AIs in a sense this time. Reason why they were able to get to a lot of people growing up every 10 years, switching with the decade, is even older people switching to this new shit. And it's really not new, it's just going against you, really. It looks lit, but if you're not thinking for yourself, then you're letting someone else's perspective control yours to a certain extent. So that being said, let's see what they saying. In 2010, Galaxy 15 Galaxy 15, which is a micron, silent for about a year, spontaneously reset itself and began transmitting again. Because Omicron deals with A into C. And when it started generating again, what did everyone start to do? Begin to C. Because that deals with the A in your brain. Like the B deals with the left side, but the A deals with the right side, which is where you get ba from, right? So when the 15 Galaxy A and begin to C with alpha, boom. So Galaxy 15 silent for about a year, spontaneously reset itself and began transmitting again, which was bad because controllers on Earth could not control the transmission. It posed a hazard to other satellites, and they finally figured out how to put a safe mode to where it remains today. Recently, LES-5 satellite launched in 1967, which was early experiment in satellite-based communications. It was decommissioned and placed in a graveyard orbit in 1972. It was considered dead. That it was until 2020 when Scott Tilley, an amateur radio operating living in British Columbia, who makes a hobby of reestablishing contacts with long-lost satellites, found it. Tilley has helped NASA locate the image satellite lost for 13 years in orbit, and as well as one of U.S. Navy's Transit Series navigational satellites. So 13 years from 2020 was 2007 going into 2008. Recently, Tilley took interest in LES-5, an experimental satellite developed by MIT's Lincoln Lab and launched into orbit in 1967. It lost all orbital control and began tumbling as it orbited the Earth. The contact occurred February 13, 1998. In 1999, the transmitter started working again, sending an unmodulated carrier, protons of electrons. Modulated carrier, it seems to transmit while the satellite is in sunlight. It seems to transmit while the satellite is in sunlight, light cold. Just picture the satellite slowly spinning solar panels every now and then when conditions are just right and someone is just listening. You can hear it, a lonely carrier wave. I caught this fleeting sound from what I think was NOAA 9 on 136.77 megahertz, which would be 136,770 hertz, as it was directly above my station on April 29th. You see, the angstrom or the algorithm deals with that decimal, right? But 2 megahertz would be 2,000, so you would just add two zeros. I mean, three zeros. So really, one, two, three, one, two, three, it'll be 13 million. Sheesh. Which deals with, if it was to hit a body, it would need to deal with 13 million cells. But while not technically a dead satellite, Goes 15 was taken offline. That sounds like the thing from last show. Ghost 15 was taken offline and placed in orbital storage in March of 2020 and slated to be used as a backup in case Ghost 16 or Ghost 17 fails. So I wonder, is that the gray vision one? Because that actually shows a lot more than the blue and the red radars. Well, Ghost 17 has a problem with the coolant pipes for the ABI instrument, Alpha Beta Iota instrument, uh, 129, 129 instrument. 4 times a year, when the sun really heats up the 17 satellite, they have to run in a bit less frequently. Unfortunately, this happens to coincide with the Pacific cyclone season, which is now. If you've been seeing like the little sixes and the eyes and the C's, is matching up with above too, because some portals about to start opening. So because this it actually has pyramids under the waters that's creating that cycle or a sinkhole. So took pick up to Shaq Nova, took Ghost 15 out of orbital storage and using the fill gaps in Ghost 17 coverage. Here's an example of Ghost 15. Where Ghost 13 now transmitting again, now under the direction of the U.S. Space Force and Department of Defense. Ghost 13 is now known as the Electro-Optical Infrared Weather System. Geostationary, or EWS, was maneuvered into new geostationary orbit to position at 61.5 degrees east longitude in mid-February 2020 over the Indian Ocean, which is happening right now, I guarantee. Because that's around 72 and 77, actually. That 61.5 degrees is probably where the base is. It was declared fully operational again on September 8th, 2020, which can also be December 9th. It could be March 8th. It could be June 8th, if it was to relate to that date this year. Because again, the timelines is crossing about right now to 2023 Hertz. 2023 Hertz is the year of 2020. For me, it's close by. Because we're dealing with like 4 different years, 90-year range. It's weird. Anyways, and then it goes into a extra range, and then an extra range, and an extra range, and then it switched to the 7th. But it can't be no interruptions by the lunar frequency no more for it to, so it can keep rising. Or it's just going to take a little longer, which is going to have people into another year wondering when this shit going to happen. The thing is, it would have been happened, but you have to look at it on a lunar calendar at the same time because the lunar is manipulating the solar. So the solar ties into the 369 energy, or 3693, but the lunar tries to stop it at the 9 so it doesn't have really a rebirth. It interrupts that rebirth as it's settling because it's on the land. So that being said, let's see if we can find something, because we still on DEA, for real, for real. Let's see if we can find this device on YouTube or something, so we can have a visual. Just need a little visual, you feel me? Okay, double electrode applicator. Double electrode applicator. It looked like a video game as an example of it, but I don't want to go all into that. It sounds like it deals with a gamma ray because when it ties back to that 15th galaxy or micron, AN means to see, but the reverse energy of it dealing with that 7 because on the alpha beta system it deals with this number 7, even through its numerology. So the reverse energy of that would be Zayn, just like alpha reverse energy is omega, right? It's like even a couple of days ago, I was watching Gina Marie and she had this video of this zero looking thing, right? That's actually the symbol for TH in science. It's the Detta symbol. The crazy thing about it, I have this drawing on my daughter's book about Detta. I'm gonna make a little short clip on that one and post it. But it was all intuition. It was weird, but it makes sense. That's how I know numerology actually ties down to all these fucking messages they be saying. But real numerology comes from intuition. I mean, the science is there, but the intuition is how you use it. You can't just use it and use it. You have to use the intuition with that. That's what made it like a spiritual thing. All right. What is this?
I would like to bring to your attention patent number 1268949, filed in 1918 by Reginald Fessenden. Most of you may know Fessenden as being credited with the first ever wireless transmission of the human voice and music. On Christmas Eve, year 19...
All right, and dealing with frequencies, input, output, especially coming from the sun, the planet, you. One band, one sound deals with music. Is if you ever wanted to understand frequencies or vibrations or how this shit works in science, you would just have to look at music because music is really what it is. Like, to understand that, you have to understand self and understand music, right? Because these keys are frequencies, but them frequencies are notes, right? And them notes are assigned to different parts of your body. Just like even if you hum certain little uh, vowels or little mantras or whatever, it hits certain keys in your body. I mean, the notes are set to your body just like the piano or just like anything. So when you're tuning your body, you're tuning your frequency for the sound, right? You want the sound to match the planet when it's playing. It's music all together. You feel me? So now you're doing your part. The trees doing this part, and the sky doing this part. Now when you step into it, it just does it. Feel me? Because now the frequencies are coming together like a band, right? But anyways,
1906, Reginald, using an alternator transmitter, was able to send audio signals of himself playing the violin and reading passages from the Bible.
it's Global Conscious Project.
A common thread that I have found in my research when concerning inventors from the late 1800s to the early 1900s, like that of Fessenden or Nikola Tesla, was their interest in spark gap transmission and how they applied it to several fields of science. Fessenden, as this patent shows, applied electricity to agriculture. My interest because I've been working on several organic farms over the past few years. If you take a stroll in the garden after a heavy thunderstorm, you will immediately notice that your vegetables seem to have doubled in size. That may be an exaggeration on my part, but there usually is noticeable growth right after a storm. Fessenden, using an electrostatic generator and a series of aerial wires, claimed he could excel plant growth with systematic discharges of high voltages. Another patent by a Kenneth E. Golden, filed in 1931, used a similar method for excelling plant growth. Like Fessenden, Golden used aerial wires and an electrostatic generator. The only difference here is Golden used a second wired grid that was either buried or set on top of the ground. I found this passage in Golden's patent very interesting.
You better abide
An
by.
oscillatory discharge is.
You abide by your rules, cause I'm taking receipts on everything, and I'm transferring it off this phone already to something else, and it's not the Google. So if I'm using the words in the teachings from school, don't try to falsify my work. Thank you.
Believed to induce a vibratory wave upon the vegetation. And when a certain band of.
Again, hey, shout out to Jose de Vere. Hey, y'all subscribing. You see? Oh, shit. I mean, what does it hurt to subscribe? You feel me?
Frequency is used, causes plant resonance,
It only picks up
or a like vibration in the plant cells. So here we find another common thread with early inventors: resonance. Now, this is a very crude build of an aerial grid style.
See, this is why you have to be in peace. This is why you have to be. It's like when my energy get interrupted, I go to where I know the energy's at and where I connect nature. Put my feet in the soil, get some sun from above, get energy from below. So when you look at a cycle, that's how a cycle works. When the energy is forming and be in the middle, right, to generate that light. So to generate my light or generate my cells to generate some more, so it don't get slowed up, I sit in the grass in the middle of two energies, above and below. Feel me? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, people could be arguing about the same thing. When they're already in that mood, it's going to hit them way more and have them stuck in it, even though they're already saying the same thing over and over again. Because the energy is hitting you like you just took 6 shots in 1 minute. Feel me? Because you're getting 6 shots, 6 sigmas from 6 stars plus one, really. And a sigma is a shot, a CME shot, right? Dealing with your cells and your sodium channels. So when you get in these CME sigma shots from the sun, you need to have your blood flowing so your waters can get a charge, right? And what creates your water is that carbon and hydrogen, period, with a hydrogen. But what creates that air deals with the water and the air, the hydrogen and carbon. You feel me? Comes together, A and B, and that's just the beginning of it. And then it works like that then as it grows into the heart and the body. Feel me? So boom. I interrupted the video, but let's get it.
Antenna for excelling plant growth. We have a basic table shape using 1x2s, porcelain insulators, normally used with electric fences, and a 30 gauge copper wire as the grid. I also constructed a second aerial antenna, which I built for other experiments, but have plans to attach it to this table grid along with a ground rod. These types of experiments will take time and observation. There is no quick answer here. This video isn't really a tutorial, but rather a way of spreading information to those who may have not been aware of pheasantine and electrohorticulture. For me, electricity is the driving force of nature, and I'm always stumbling upon interesting information that I apply to my own electrical experiments and understanding.
I had to see what's up with that.
The story goes that Fezzidan, while throwing rocks in a pond and observing the effects, had the Archimedes Eureka moment, where he realized that radio waves moved in concentric circles from a source, just like rocks thrown in a body of water.
That's the
And these radio waves, if amplified, could transmit sound.
analysis.
He certainly proved this theory in 1906. Now I wonder if he was also right about exciting plant growth with electricity. I hope you found this video informative. Good luck with your experiments.
Alright, well, that didn't really show what I was looking for, but that did show a definition of what it was. But this symbol that was in the sky was a data symbol. And what does data stands for? Data mean either let's see. Data is the 8th letter of the Greek alphabet. See that symbol? Looks like a 0 with the line in the middle. That was in the sky from the sun. Well, it popped up in lasso, right? A plane angle. Data draconis, right? You see, Dracon deals with the Dracon constellation where the Draconians come from, right? So they're part of it, denoting a temperature at which a polymer solution behaves ideally as regards its osmotic pressure. Because the thing is, with these gates in Ascension, right, you went to 7, 8, 9 and up, or like your higher chakras, because it's way more than 7. It's like over 144. So as you go up, it's pretty much to prepare you for what happens during the 6. Because during the 6, that's the test to see if you, the physical test. The conscious test was you even knowing thyself to move past the 5th gate. But look, denoting electrical activity observed in the brain under certain conditions, consisting of oscillation having a frequency of 4 to 7 hertz, feather rhythm. The symbol usually represents the angular position of a vector. A vector is a quantity having direction as well as magnitude, especially as determining the position of one point in space relative to another. Dealing with biology is an organism, typically a biting insect or tick, that transmit a pathogen, disease, or parasite from one animal or plant to another. In biology, we just said that. Aeronautics, direct an aircraft in flight to a desired point. Two hurricanes were vectored towards each other, towards the Stukas. The Stukas sounds like the Tornado Valley because when you create lows in the West Coast and the East Coast is hotter than the West Coast, that's like a reverse, right? But it's not really two reverses because they are sub-zero technology is already man-made. So when you look at it that way, they taught you what they've been creating as natural uh, disasters and then blaming it on God. The energy was God's energy. If it was like that, the manipulation of that energy was Satan. If you were to try to figure out the two, right? Because it's one thing that is doing, and then the other thing that is doing is not right. So synonyms for vectors: aim, angle, bearing, course, direction, line, point, route, track, trajectory. And when you're using trajections, you're dealing with light, right? Um, where's the TH meaning at? Okay, boom. Technology is the application of scientific knowledge to the practical use of human life. Mm. And they really named technology that? I didn't even know that. I just peeped the reflection. But look, um, see what I had at first isn't up there no more. Meaning, okay, so thorium, a chemical element, is really a thermal hydraulic something, but it's not showing up right now. Um, the Thompson. Okay, so the TH. This still deals with um, the TH. We already got DEA out the way. So the TH is a unit that appeared infrequently in scientific literature relating to the field of mass spectro spectro spectrometry as a unit of mass to charge ratio. The unit was proposed by Cooks. Hold on. It was proposed by Cooks and Rockwood, naming it in honor of J.J. Thomas, who measured the mass to charge ratio, electrons and ions, because that's what it's doing, is analyzing it, right? Because the superficial resemblance of minerals, this element is now called thorium. What the hell is thorium? Let's see. Should have just started the live when I found the tabs, because that's what messed me up when I couldn't find the tabs. And then the whole video deleted on that live. So that didn't even do. Okay, thorium is the chemical element of atomic number 90, a white radioactive metal of actinide series. Hmm. So I wonder, does that tie to the video I just made on it was that new, all right, it's something called like, I'm so sorry, I just learned this. Um it was something I was looking up dealing with the 3 holy days that is done before Easter, but I was seeing it as done this week because of the eclipse being a fake one in my eyes. I think the real one is by the 29th or the 27th with the Lionsgate portal. So, like, knowing that they do rituals and shit on certain days, like Odin Day, Holy Wednesday, then it went to Thursday, the Holy Thursday, and then there's the Holy Friday. Or no, it's the 3 days is dealing with that really makes four, but the 3 days is with Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Saturday being Saturnalia. I'm pretty sure alignment's gonna happen on Saturday. And it's gonna take a week for that portal to open because April this year was actually January 1st, but it's 4 alternates of the same month. So that's when the time cycle shit gets weird because it's like time traveling right now in this body, dealing with the hertz being the years as it rise up. And now it's crossing over to 2023 hertz in the year 2023 because 6D deals with 2000 hertz, which is 2 megahertz, which is what the 2 represents on the mutation V2, because 6D or the sixth star plus one mutation deals with the Sarkov, right? Because of what I just read deals with some word we just found and I can't remember. So I'm gonna go to my YouTube real quick because I can't do it on here for some reason. That would be an awesome idea, YouTube, if you guys were to do some little upgrades. Like, you should make it where you can go online at different places while you're on the live and stuff. Cause you can't do that on here, I don't think. Oh yeah, it was the tritium. I know the energy was gonna turn up. The Pascal tritium. Yeah, the Pascal tritium is a single liturgical celebration that spans 3 days. It begins on the Thursday before Easter and ends the evening of Easter Sunday. See, like, I don't know. For some reason, it don't feel like it was that. I feel like it's now. Or maybe they did for this week, but it still ties down to what the hell's going on. So either way, yeah, they're definitely calling on something because every Lionsgate portal they always do. They need bodies. So look, the and knowing that it's 3 months and 4 alternates, it's another Lionsgate portal happening because of 3 months. It's just a different alternate, right? Which meaning it's going to be 4 alternates dealing with 3 different signs because A plus B equals C, right? That new light. So that's been happening now. We have 3 three of them from 6 stars. It's three new lights plus one, right? So look, so really we had like seven sun energy, six sun and seven sun energy. It really ends at when it's combining all 12, like the horoscope circle. You feel me? So what was this word that I found by breaking down
Let's just go with that.
tritium? And I didn't even break it all down. The whole hour on try. That just remind me of the do and
But
because I didn't even expect that to come out of it. I just saw it already split up.
grade in soils and groundwater.
It's weird. Oh yeah, TCE. Okay, found it. All right, TCE sounds like something I just read. Where did it go? Another element because he liked the name or because the superficial mineral. The unit electrical resistance measured with a direct current is the OHM, named after German physics and mathematician George Simon Ohm. According to the Ohm's law, the resistance R is the ratio of the voltage U across a conductor and the current I flow through it. So R equals U slash I. Looks like that. I I can feel the frequency like trying to numb out my hand, bro. It's like you have to peep it because then it reverses it. It's crazy. But yeah, that's really how it is, bro. Like even with like people doing spell work, once you peep where it's coming from, your cells just do something. Like it's weird. It sends out a frequency. It works together and get rid of it pretty much. But it's pretty much when you peep it, because when you don't peep it, you think it's normal, or that's how your nervous system is going to pick up on it, even though because you never picked up on it, then it becomes a normal thing, which is bad. So now you got to reverse that by change of perspective or opening up this so you can see the hell's going on. Because once you see it, it starts fighting really fast. All right, so how do you read? I'm gonna probably have to come back on this joint. So I just literally read something. What is the unit for measuring frequency TH? The unit for measuring that is hertz. Coming after the 6 and before the 8th in the number and counting order and position time being an order of 7. 6 TH, 6th. Ooh, okay. Coming next after. That just says what I'm be talking about. The 5 and the 6 and the 7 comes right after the the ions and the electrons settle. But It's just tying back to the sun because it's a manipulation of the sun. Because the TH represents thermal hydraulic, right? And the DEA represents double electrode applicator. Well, yeah, applicator. So DEA is for double electrode applicator, and TH is for thermal hydraulic. So a thermal hydraulic double electrode applicator. Can we get that on YouTube? Like an example? It'd be weird. Like it's energy hitting right now. Like stay hydrated. Um, like it's funny how people laugh when people say energy, but then niggas want to see why they feeling a little fatigued. When I say energy, it's just energy, nigga. Just like the light bulb. Energy deals with electricity. It deals with your cells, which makes electricity. Like people don't realize you have millions of voltages of charge once it's activated. But how can your cell even get a charge if it's not in water to be alkaline in? It can be in acid, but all that is going to do is heat up the acid. And what happens when the acid gets hot? Because certain elements in the body actually can become cool or hard, or it could become really toxic and acidic. And all that does is burn flesh, right? That goes back to the Sarco dealing with the V2 charge that's in because we're dealing with 6D energy, meaning 6 stars set up, satellites set up, conducting, boom. So I'll do 400 thermal lines. Look, I'm gonna just tell you this because really I did not look into this shit too much. But as is being said, it's a replica of this. Remember, DEA stands for double electrode applicator, which is like double electrode. So I mean, interrupting a cycle. So let's just see what this little example is real quick. Then I'll get out y'all ears. They got this underground so it can connect to the satellites above. I think they think they're gonna have it stopped at 5 and 6, but it's already in 6 and 7. So that being said, the shit's about to start depleting on this grid that's dealing with fake electricity. So that being said, stock your waters up, get your foods. whoop de woo, especially if you balance yet. Because once you balance, you're not even going to be thinking about food. You're going to be able to transmute light into sugar, which will get transmuted into food, natural food, not man made sugar or manipulated sugar. Because thing about sugar, the natural sugar, it ties to the God, what they call the God gene in medical. Like all this shit always got meanings in medical science and literature and math. Really, everything they taught us in school in the basics. When you look up certain words, you look them up. Medical, science, math, literature. Then you look it up, pathology, science, pathology, chemistry, or biology, or pathology. And then the same for languages like Greek, Hebrew, and Latin. Yeah, also um, the Indian language and the Chinese language ties down to it too, Loki. I swear, bro, they change up Google so much. Like you look up one thing and then it's different. You know, the God gene, how faith is hardwired into our genes, detailed a recent example of purported link between a particular gene and a human behavior. The VMAT2 codes for vascular monoamine transporter that plays a key role in regulating the levels of the brain chemicals serotonin, dopamine, and whatever that word is, norepinephrine. These M transmitters are in turn postulated to play an important role in regulating the brain's activity associated with mystic beliefs. So hop back on your natural diet and start loving yourself because that makes a chemical equation that taps into the genes. Not even like trying to make symbolism or something like that's just facts. Just like fear creates a blockage in your sodium channels just by destruction of it. It produces sodium when you fear, which blocks up your sodium channels. So then that's what can leave you stuck. Or like if you look in a movie and you see people and they always fall when they scared, running and shit, it's because it triggers something in their leg dealing with the sarcophagus, the sarcolactic acid that's built up there, right? It's just like a lot of people getting the pain in the back of their knee because due to the sarcolactic acid, the sun's not cooperating with that, meaning you gotta get the blood flowing back to it for that to go away. stretching and eating your raw foods and vegetables and water. It's a good way to get it out. Charcoal, activated charcoal. We discovered that in the last video. But you want to be eating a planetary diet so it can get flushed out of you. Because when you mix it with the meat, it's just going to clog it back up and you're not going to be able to shit it. Like, you need your shit into puddles of shit, right? Because when it comes to a time you're not eating, you're just going to want to shit. And then if you don't got what you need or the water's out, that's going to make you not even want to be in your area of space. Like, you're gonna have to start shitting outside or something like you should anyways. But it's gonna make you uncomfortable unless you're just happy, like a happy person. I'm just saying, the bowel stops you from reproduction. Reproduction, when you have non-reproduction, that's when aging involves. You're not supposed to age. That's part of a spell. Because when you mentally think it, it deals with your nervous system. And when you're physically intaking something that kills off your nerves, your nervous system, then what happens? You begin to age at the timing you're supposed to think you are. But really, when the thing is, when you're in fasting, you're actually clean. Like, a lot of people don't even tap into this just because they didn't fully do it. So it's like when you tap into it, your body starts to pick up on the cycle that is on when it broke the cycles. That's why I say you need to fast at least throughout the 360 days. Like, detach yourself from whatever you thought was normal and does not fit you, meaning your health, your mind, you, period. Not saying like it's okay to care about yourself sometimes. It's like you could be thinking about someone else and you could seem like a good person, but is that really benefiting anything? It's like going to the club with somebody just because they don't want to go alone the whole time. You don't even want to talk to nobody. You don't feel like dancing, and you know you got to do your studies. Does that benefit you? But it means like little shit like that. Like, you have to be okay with saying no and just doing you. Like, I was offered so much meat when I was fasting. I was even telling people I was fasting, and it seemed like the more I was doing it, the more I was getting offered something that didn't serve me anything. But the thing is, I had to stay strong against that for it to work. Just putting your body to stress, but it also changes. It is shadow work. It breaks the spell off of you because you feel bad about certain shit sometimes. But when you realize there's no reason to feel bad about it because it's not right for you, then it ain't shit to even feel bad about. So then when you think about it, it's a meaningless attachment. So where did that attachment even come from? It don't. It could come from your parents, but where did they get it from? Where their parents get it from? It wasn't their selves. It was what the world was telling them. That's the thing. My mom taught me not to be worldly, to use my common sense, and that's how you'll get by in life. Since I was a little kid, I don't really hear it too much now, but when I was a little kid, see, I remember my memories and the shit I didn't remember at first as a little kid, and shit like that is what I need to remember. Because something I learned about common sense. Common sense gets you a long way. Most of this shit that people will be hopping on people's dicks about or being smart, really, yeah, that person can be smart, but really they just use more sense or apply themselves more. Because once you see it, it's just like basketball. Like, You may not know how to play basketball, but once you get it, it becomes common sense. So once you start playing it, your body just, your nerves just go along what you need to do next because now you're not thinking about it. You're like subconsciously thinking about it. And where you're subconsciously moving is either by you, your soul, or subconscious can be controlled by a neural link or another perspective that's not of theirs, right? Which goes against that body. When the perspective goes against that body, that spirit, it doesn't, it creates a loop within, a karmic loop. And the only reason we here is to break them loops. Because if you don't get conscious of self, where do you think your conscious is going to go when you die? It's going to go to wherever the hell you were thinking about. And most people say they going somewhere, but by the stuff they do it, that might be secrets and all types of stuff, they deep inside feel somewhere else. Me, I know what's up with me. So like there won't be no confusion. It's to the point now I'm realizing we back in our energy. A death might actually be a resurrection for me. And the thing about this that we're stepping into, especially from now into June or now into September, is dealing with the second resurrection. I feel like it's this month because January dealing with the Archway Gate, and today, which is April still, and a different alternate. But April is also July dealing with the Lion's Gate, and both meanings deal with a opening, a gate opening, the anus, archway, doorway to the Leo Gate, the Lion's Gate. Right, feel me? So at this time, as the energy is going up, you need to. It's imperative that you're in a peaceful mindset. You're not letting your anxiety get to you. You're not looking in the mirror feeling bad about yourself. You're not goddamn beating yourself up about the past because it's not serving you no purpose. You're not letting meaningless emotions and attachments deal with your purpose. Feel me? Because everybody got their own purpose. Feel me? You can't be the same pieces of a puzzle. You could be in the same corner, but you're still not going to be the same piece. Like, just being the same piece or trying to be like somebody else, you're never going to paint the picture in your corner. So it's imperative to have contentment in this time because just like Ecclesiastes said, all this shit is meaningless. When you find peace of mind, you realize none of that shit was me. It was the world. But once you break from it, you start to get the signals that were getting sent to you and became anxiety because you weren't picking it up. You start getting frequencies dealing with your asylum, your freedom, because we're the guardians dealing with this galaxy. But we have to wake up here to get back to work. It's already happening, so I ain't really too worried at all. It's just sad when you start to see what you have to deal with, because the thing is, they want to interrupt your peace of mind even while you're upping it, because knowing they can destroy it or destroy you if you still attached. And most people who's up in a frequency physically may not have mentally did that part. And A and B has to come together to even make the light mentally, physically is part of that A and B. Feel me? It makes the Luna. Feel me? From the soul to wisdom. So, hope beyond what I was saying, really, you don't even have to watch all of this. You can just peep that DEA is a double electrode applicator, and the TH stands for um, thermal hydraulic, while the star stands for satellite. Period. Peace. There go your Death Star, aka the moon.